Now at 6 and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com, layoffs announced at UHV, the first round happening today.
New details reveal violations after a girl's tragic drowning in a Houston hotel pool.
And Governor Greg Abbott says the launch pad to Mars will be in Texas.
We had a pretty good day, lots of sunshine and fairly mild weather. The thing is, we're going to warm up as we get into Easter weekend, but the good news, no rain in sight. We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
And hear from new Bloomington head coach Lane Chance, and there's a new kickoff return rule. I'll have all that coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
The University of Houston-Victoria faces challenges with its budget as enrollment declines at the school. The university plans to reduce operating costs by almost $4 million before August and up to $7 million by the next school year. The reduction includes faculty layoffs, temporary pay cuts, including UHV's president and vice president, job offer freezes, and more. President Bob Glenn says the goal is to increase student enrollment and retention in the future.
Here's your viewer poll this evening. You can scan that QR code right there on your screen to vote. The question is, what do you think led to the budget cuts at UHV? According to our results, it looks like 67% takes the lead with declining enrollment. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 10. Now, Woodrow Wilson Wagner wants to represent District 3 in the city of Victoria. He discussed his track record of advocacy and desire to give back to his hometown. He says he has a deep connection with the community. Wagner says his primary focus, if elected, is to give first responders more competitive pay to prevent them from leaving Victoria.
We train people here in Victoria. They go to our academies. They are trained and educated. Then they go somewhere else. It'd be nice to have those people say, you know what, Victoria is going to be my home. My wife and my family, we're going to live here.
Wagner says his experience in government will help him find solutions for the city. He'll take on April Butler for the District 3 seat in the May 4th election. And with that, let's take a look at your forecast with First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Bettis. You know, we were just talking earlier, South Texas, you never know what kind of weather you're going to get here.
A little chilly today, but well, it's just starting spring.
You know, it's always like spring break when we get the coldest weather or something, or a rainstorm or something like that. But overall, you know, you can't really complain. It's a great looking week for pretty much anything. It was a little cool today as that north wind brought us the drier air, but it did lower the humidity as well. The weather storm is way up here, no problem there. There is a storm in the Rockies, but I think high pressure is going to be keeping us clear of everything. And so as we get to Easter weekend, how warm will it get? I'll have that coming up in just a minute. Back to you.
Mac, thank you. A Houston Health Department investigation at a hotel pool reportedly found multiple violations.
This comes after an 8-year-old girl drowned in that hotel pool after going missing last Saturday. Authorities say she was sucked into an apparent malfunctioning pipe. Authorities drained the pool and pushed poles with cameras on them 20 feet into one of the pool's pipes. A fire department crew needed about 13 hours to recover the girl's body. The hotel said the pool was temporarily closed. A second victim from the school bus crash in Bastrop County last Friday is identified. DPS reports 33-year-old Ryan Wallace of Bastrop was the driver of the car behind the Hayes Consolidated ISD bus in the crash. Wallace was not part of the field trip. Hayes Consolidated ISD reports all students on the bus were released from the hospital. One staff member remains hospitalized. The bus driver continues to recover at home. An elementary school pre-K bus was struck by a cement truck that swerved into the bus's lane of traffic. Today, the Supreme Court is hearing arguments in a case that could affect the most common type of U.S. abortions. Most people who end pregnancies in the U.S. use pills.
Now a lawsuit is challenging the FDA's power to make it easier to get the pill mifepristone. A ruling in this case could have a significant impact on abortion access.
FDA, do your job!
1,000 demonstrators by police estimates on both sides of the abortion rights issue outside the Supreme Court today. Inside, some justices appearing skeptical, over the case that would alter access to the abortion drug mifepristone.
And this case seems like a prime example of turning what could be a small lawsuit into a nationwide legislative assembly on an FDA rule or any other federal government action.
The Food and Drug Administration is being sued by Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine, an anti-abortion group accusing the FDA of unlawfully easing restrictions. Justice is questioning whether the group has legal standing to even bring the case.
You need a person. You need a person to be able to come in and meet the court's regular standing requirements.
Lawyers for the anti-abortion rights group claim doctors saw an increase in emergency room visits treating women who took the drug.
Without question, the FDA's actions have made taking chemical abortion drugs less safe.
Jessica Ellsworth represents the maker of mifepristone.
They fail to show under any rational legal standard why they have standing to bring this suit.
The FDA says mifepristone is safe when used as indicated and directed, with serious side effects exceedingly rare. The FDA approved the drug nearly 25 years ago, making regulatory changes years later, allowing it to be used up to 10 weeks of pregnancy instead of 7, and allowing it to be prescribed by mail.
We, on behalf of FDA, think that courts have no business making those judgments.
At least 13 protesters were arrested today. Capitol Police say they were blocking roads. A decision from the Supreme Court is expected by the end of June. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
Construction is currently underway on a new Uvalde elementary school. The construction of the unnamed new school is expected to cost at least $51 million. Officials included security upgrades like 9-foot-tall gates, keyless entry points, and access road that makes it specifically easier for first responders to get to the school. Tim Miller, executive director of Uvalde Moving Forward, says they aim to finish by September of 2025.
We are on track. We are so grateful for S&P to be our contractor. They've been doing great work to keep everybody safe, to keep everything on track, and so far to keep it on budget.
The new elementary will replace Robb Elementary, where 19 students and 2 teachers were killed. Almost 2 years later, loved ones of victims are still seeking accountability from responding law enforcement agencies. Authorities arrested 5 suspects in South Texas last week. They're accused of trafficking military-grade firearms to a drug cartel in Mexico. 23-year-old Jerry Perez is accused of acquiring over 100 firearms throughout Texas. The weapons would then be smuggled across the international border and delivered to a drug trafficking cartel in Mexico.
The securities fraud case against Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is over. Defense and prosecutors reached a pre-trial agreement that ends the 9-year-long case. Paxton was accused of defrauding investors in the Dallas area tech company by not disclosing that he was paid to recruit them. Terms of the agreement include Paxton having to pay restitution of close to $300,000, complete 100 hours of community service, and 15 hours of legal ethics education. Industry leaders alongside state and local officials met at the Johnson Space Center in Houston with Governor Greg Abbott to discuss space and space exploration. Abbott says members of the commission will look to advance the field of space exploration and use those findings to improve life on Earth. The governor also mentioned plans of landing on Mars.
Texas will be the launch pad for Mars. And as we look to the future of space, one thing is clear. Those who reach for the stars do so from the Lone Star State, the great state of Texas.
Governor Abbott also challenged universities across Texas to launch their first space engineering program.
Now, a quick reminder, TxDOT recommends a permanent closure of the DuPont Bridge at the Victoria Barge Canal. The closure starts March 29th. Access to property across the canal will require using the alternate route on Levy Road.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button, click that notification bell, then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Stay with us. New details about that bridge collapse in Baltimore. That's coming up on 25 News Now at 6.
Also ahead, a gag order is now in place in Trump's hush money trial case. The Sacramento County Sheriff's Office conducted a human trafficking operation that led to the arrest of nearly 30 people and over 20 vehicles getting towed. The human trafficking operation targeted sex buyers. Authorities arrested a total of 27 of them. Of the arrested suspects was a person on parole with a prior conviction for child molestation. A Sacramento County Sheriff's spokesperson says identifying suspected buyers is a key part of their strategy to fight against human trafficking. Now we are learning more about that bridge collapse in Baltimore, a massive cargo ship slamming into the bridge early this morning.
Vehicles plunging into the very cold water below. Authorities say 6 people are missing and presumed dead.
Crews in Baltimore are working against the clock to find survivors of the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse.
We're going to send all the federal resources they need as we respond to this emergency.
It was around 1:30 this morning that Maryland officials say a container ship lost propulsion as it was leaving Baltimore and crashed into the bridge. Video shows the ship hitting a support column. The lights go out as the entire span collapses. Seconds before impact, that same footage appears to show vehicles crossing.
We're going to be working closely with the National Transportation Safety Board as they lead their independent investigation and with the Coast Guard as they continue operations in the water.
The pilots reportedly warned the Maryland Department of Transportation that vessel could crash before it made impact. Maryland officials say the pilot's mayday call prompted the bridge to shut down to traffic, potentially saving lives. No drivers were traveling on the span at the time, but there were construction vehicles and workers on it.
The crew that was out there working was basically repairing potholes. Just so you understand, that had nothing to do with a structural issue.
The I-695 span is a heavily traveled corridor with an estimated 30,000 vehicles crossing it each day. About 30 million tons of cargo passed through the bridge last year. It's the entryway to the largest port in the U.S. for cars and light trucks and one of America's largest hubs for coal shipments.
It's one of the most important elements for the economy in the Northeast. I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible.
Authorities say there is no credible evidence the incident was an act of terror. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Baltimore.
The judge overseeing Donald Trump's criminal hush money case in New York issued a partial gag order after prosecutors requested it. They will limit Trump from making statements about potential witnesses in the trial involving hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Judge Juan Merchan also says Trump can make or cause others to make public statements about attorneys, court staff, or the family members of prosecutors or lawyers. Trump is accused of making hush money payments to Daniels weeks before the 2016 presidential election. The FDA granted emergency use authorization for a drug that will keep high-risk patients from getting COVID-19.
It's called PEMGARDA, and it's an antibody infusion for immunocompromised people. The drug is for those ages 12 and older who are not likely to have an adequate immune response after vaccination. It is given as an infusion in doctors' offices and other healthcare settings. PEMGARDA is not intended to treat people who have COVID-19. In fact, you cannot take it if you currently have the virus or were recently exposed to it. The Powerball jackpot is up to $865 million for Wednesday's drawing. There were no winners on Monday. The last lucky winner was on New Year's Day. Now, although there were no big winners last night, ticket holders matched 5 numbers in New York and Florida, nabbing the $1 million prize. If there is a winner on Wednesday and they choose the lump sum payout, they will take home over $416 million after taxes. Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is worth an estimated $1.13 billion.
So we all just going to go get tickets after this?
Ladies first. Ladies first.
All right, you guys. Well, a reminder that next Friday, April 5th, Midcoast Family Services is holding a self-defense class from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Dr. Patty Dotson Public Health Center. It's free and open to the public with no registration required, but space is limited, so you don't want to miss this opportunity. The class will be taught by a 7th degree black belt.
Thank you, but I already got my tickets. Thank you.
Oh, look at you.
Oh,
hey. All right.
$1 million. Anyway, folks, good afternoon. We got up to only 72 degrees today because of that north wind, which was a little bit chilly, but that's okay. You know, we got to enjoy this while we can. For this, your Easter week, we're looking at no rain, and we're looking at warming temperatures, and we'll be talking about that coming up right after this. Well, good afternoon, everyone. We had a beautiful day today, and of course that north wind makes a big difference. Brought us the cooler, drier air into the region. For the next couple of days, things are looking very nice. That weather pattern that you see out in the Rockies is not a big deal as far as we're concerned, because the upper winds that you see right there in the black lines are going to take it up toward North Texas. So we're going to stay on the sunny side, on the dry side really, for about 2 more days. And then as we get to the weekend, we are going to start warming up as soon as the southeast wind returns. Tomorrow, our high 74, 76 in Corpus Christi, 67. The high in Houston, not bad at all. As we get into Easter week, things are looking very nice. There's no real significant rain around the state for the next few days. There will be a little bit of sprinkle activity up in Dallas, but by and large, it's not severe weather. All the severe weather is going along with that frontal system to the east coast. There's that little sprinkle rain that we're talking about over Dallas and maybe central Texas. I really don't think it's going to get this far south, so I'm going to say it's going to be rain-free all the way through. And then on about Thursday, we start picking up a stronger southeast wind. Of course, that's the Gulf air rolling back in, so we'll start feeling more humid and warmer as well as higher pressure builds over the region. That'll be on top of us by the time we get to Easter Sunday, and that's why your temperatures will start getting into the mid-80s by then. So, you know, all things considered, going to be a good weekend for Easter. No major problems. You'll get a chance to go play outdoors. Wanted to show you this map. It just came out from the University of Miami. The blue line is the average temperature of the ocean by month. You see on the bottom is January all the way to December. So it's cool, and then it gets warm by the summertime, and then it cools down. Well, that's the blue line is the average temperature. The red little broken line, that's the temperature this year. You can see how it's by an order of magnitude above where it's been for the last 20 years. So we've got a very warm Atlantic, and with that, I'm going to tell you a little bit later on about how many hurricanes it's likely to spawn when we get to the beginning of tropical storm season, and just give you a hint. The ocean is right now at the heat that it would normally have in June. Okay, that's not good, but we'll certainly be watching it very carefully. There's your marine forecast. If you get a chance to go do a little fishing, the northeast winds will settle down a little bit by tomorrow, and then by the time we get to Thursday, they'll come back up out of the southeast. Waves are running 2 to 4 feet. Bay waters are slightly choppy. So for those of you in Port Lavaca, still on the cool side, partly cloudy and a little bit, quite a little afternoon sun, northeast winds settling down, but only getting up to about 70 as a high temperature. And of course, of those of you in Cuero, lots of, not lots, but some cloud cover in the morning, then afternoon sun, and your temperature only getting up to about 70 degrees. Here in Victoria and in the Crossroads in general, I'm looking at 74. And then we slowly warm up to about 80 degrees on Saturday, and then 82 to 84 by Sunday, Monday. So all things considered, it'll be very spring-like, if not almost summerish, by the time we get to the coming weekend. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Karina.
Thank you, Mac. And now here's Zach with your sports.
The kickoff return has made a return. That rule change and soccer playoff updates coming up in sports. Just one day after unanimously voting to ban the hip drop tackle, the NFL has made another huge change, and this one is regarding the kickoff. They will be using the method that the XFL used, where opposing teams start with a 5-yard distance between themselves and won't be able to move until the ball gets back to the returner. The goal is to bring back one of the most exciting plays in football while also limiting dangerous high-speed collisions.
The biggest benefit we're going to get from this, because this isn't just NFL, this is hopefully going for a long time, is the college potentially of adopting it, high school adopting it, flag football adopting it, like Riz said. I think that would probably make us the most proud of seeing this go to the other parts of football, where today I feel like we made football better, and I feel like we made football safer, and that's going to trickle down to a whole bunch of other levels.
All right, we'll see how that all works out. Now, last week we learned of Bloomington's hire of a new football coach, and it came as no surprise it was an in-house promotion of Lane Shantz, who's been a coach for a long time, and he's excited to lead this program and continue to build on the good work these guys have done over the last year. He worked with Coach Kraus since August of 22, and he says that everything is largely the same.
Consistency is probably like the biggest thing, because with the kids, like, I'm always here. Like, I've been here. I started this job with Coach Kraus April 4th, 2022, and we've hit the ground running. Since Coach Kraus left, I basically told the kids, like, hey, I'm going to continue to coach y'all until they make a decision on what they're going to do, and then we'll go from there. Nothing has changed. The kids have been showing up. The attendance is great. The grades in the classroom have gotten better. The attendance in the classroom has gotten better. Overall, I mean, nothing's really changed. The buy-in is there.
All right. Now, yesterday we did have some softball. It was the St. Joseph ladies taking on San Antonio Christian. The Lady Flyers were able to walk away with the 8-4 victory behind a complete game from Meismer, who gave up 3 earned runs in the outing, but she punched out 11 while driving in a run herself. Val Villarreal drove in 3 runners, which led the way for the Flyers, who left 13 runners on base. Probably could have scored a lot more. Back in action here in Victoria tomorrow at 4:30. It is playoff day for many area soccer teams, and we heard from the West girls, who are in Corpus right now and begin play in about an hour against Palmview, and the West boys started at about 5:30. The score in that game is currently 1-0 Warriors. They jumped out to the early lead in the first 8 minutes. That's where we stand at halftime. And Calhoun, who fell just short of a state semifinal appearance last year, their journey begins tonight at West Columbia, taking on the Columbia Roughnecks. That game started about 20 minutes ago, not being streamed. We will be waiting on a final score for the 10 p.m. show. That is it for your sports. Donna Karina, back to you.
Thanks, Zach. We're going to be back in a moment. A museum in Connecticut reopened after shutting down for renovations in 2020.
Finally tonight, the Yale Peabody Museum in Connecticut has reopened after shutting down for renovations in 2020. The Natural History Museum has added 15,000 square feet of additional exhibit space and new galleries. Currently, there are over 2,000 items on display. The centerpiece of the museum is a 75-foot-long Brontosaurus. There it is. Or is that a Stegosaurus? I get my sauruses confused. Anyway.
It's a big saurus.
It's a big saurus, yes. It is considered the oldest Brontosaurus fossil found in the United States. And thanks to a $160 million donation, the Peabody made renovations and made admission free.
Oh, that's
Now,
nice.
what a deal.
What
You
a
know,
deal.
I bet you there are a lot of students who may have Good Friday off from school.
I'm sure that's what they're going to do.
Oh, yeah. they'll
Either
go to
that
the
or
museum.
go to the library and read a book.
Well,
You think?
it'd be a great weekend to go to the museum or do something like that, but will the weather?
Well,
be as good
here,
for that?
I think we're covered. We're doing good. In fact, today it was sunny, a little on the cool side, but we're going to slowly warm up as we get into Easter weekend. Good Friday is looking like about a 78. That's not bad at all. And then about 82 to 84 as we get to Sunday and Monday. So I don't think there's anything to complain about that weather forecast.
There's really no rush to get back into the 90s and the 100s,
there's-
in my opinion. I could be
No.
wrong.
No, you're
I don't
right
want to
on
see
that.
that either because but once that starts, we're just going to have to leave them those numbers there. So it's going to be a long summer.
Yeah, we'll get there soon enough. Right.
Exactly.
Enjoy the coolness while you can. All right. Thank you, Mag, and thanks for joining us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.